Hey there, my name is Jared May, and this is my co-anchor, Alex. We're going to be bringing you today's breaking news live from planet Earth.
Thanks for that warm introduction, Jared. Our main story today, urbanization, air pollution, and its effects. Let's start out with some background information before further exploring this complex subject. Over the last few centuries, society has watched people flock from rural areas to urban centers. This process is called urbanization.
So, urbanization. Urbanization has led to lots of benefits for society. Large cities have been beneficial for the sharing of information through schools or research institutions, and urban expansion has led to increased economic development. Sadly, these benefits only capture a sliver of the actual story.
Exactly, Jared. Urbanization leads to increased traffic, energy production, and consumption, consumerism, etc. All of these forces lead to air pollution. First things first, let's go to our reporter in the field, my twin brother, Alexander. Alexander, what do you have in store for us today? Great to be speaking with you today, Alex. This morning, I'm going to be chatting with Richard, the construction manager of the new mall in downtown Los Angeles. Richard, how are things going on the worksite this morning?
First, great to be speaking with you today, Alexander. To answer your question, things are going great at the new development. Upon completion, this new skyscraper will bring in lots of new high-paying shop owners and customers. Think of the commerce.
Wow, creating jobs and wealth? Sounds like a noble task to me.
I guess you could think that. I don't know though. Sometimes I watch all the trucks spew fumes into the sky. I watch the green space get cleared to make the property. I see the nice cars pull up and all the shop owners get out. And I just don't know if it's noble, let alone justifiable. But I just do as I'm told.
Right. It's a very interesting perspective. Thank you very much for that insight, Richard. As I send it back to the studio, let's everybody take a second to contemplate the new development down the street. Live in the studio, back to you, Jared.
Thank you very much, Alexander.
Next, let's take a look at the weather. Jared, how are things at the beach?
Well, Alex, my toes are in the sand, I hear the waves behind me, and I vote that everyone else makes a trip to the water to join me, since the next 5 days should be rain-free.
That is great news for all the beach bums out there. Hopefully they can soak up some sun this upcoming weekend, but it always seems to be so cloudy.
The sun will in fact be shining, but it may just be a little bit hard to see with all that infamous city haze in the air. Here's something for all you beach bums out there to try next time you're in the South Bay. Currently, I'm standing in front of the mansions of Manhattan Beach, but as I turn south, I see clear skies. When I turn north, I see El Segundo, smokestacks, and planes laying at LAX. Just interesting to think about the difference of these two communities. Just something I've noticed after covering the weather from this very beach after so many years. Back to you in the studio, Alex.
That's very interesting, Jared, I had never really thought of the difference between Manhattan Beach and El Segundo. I wonder why that is.
For that answer, we will be traveling quite a distance today. Next, Alex's very, very close cousin Al will be actually interviewing an environmental studies professor, Professor Mayo, from a top-ranked university in Hong Kong. Al, are you and Professor Mayo ready for us?
I was born ready.
Kudos to your parents. Take it away, Al.
So, Professor Mayo, I understand you specifically study the field of global environmental justice. Could you maybe define what this is for our viewers who are unfamiliar with the movement?
Of course. So, on a basic level, global environmental justice is the exploitation of marginalized groups through environmental injustices. Environmental injustice is exemplified by some groups bearing an unfair amount of an environmental burden while receiving little or to no benefit. Also, variables of marginality are frequently social, economic, and racial in nature and determine the stakeholders in these situations.
Understood. Thank you very much for that information, Professor. Could you maybe explain the concept a bit more, perhaps with an example or two?
Let's take the city of Hong Kong as an example. Hong Kong is a vibrant, wealthy city that has developed rapidly during urbanization. But this urbanization has been accompanied with a degradation of air quality. Can we pause for a second to consider some recent news coverage of the event?
The air is so polluted that it's darkened the sky. Now, recent studies show that even breathing this kind of air for an hour can reduce a person's life expectancy by 20 minutes. It's akin to being a heavy smoker, smoking a pack and a half of cigarettes every day.
How do you think these impacts are distributed amongst the population? Evenly? Sadly not. The poor of the city are being systematically exposed to higher levels of air pollution, and this is what global environmental justice is focused on stopping.
Wow. Is this just going on in Hong Kong, or is this truly a global problem?
Wow is right, and it is happening everywhere. It doesn't matter whether you're looking at the research of Bustamante in the developing city of Cochabamba, Bolivia, or Wong in bustling Hong Kong. There's research that captures this disturbing trend all over the place. Take the city of Los Angeles as well. Both are dynamic cities that have experienced rapid urbanization and growth during the last few decades, but the same treads of environmental injustices are being enacted against marginalized groups in the same exact ways. Was it by accident that El Segundo was designed to contain an airport, refineries, power plants, while Manhattan Beach is containing yoga studios, mansions, and nothing but white people? No, it is not by accident. Is it by accident that highways tend to crisscross in poor areas versus wealthier areas? No.
Clearly, this sounds like something that needs to be addressed by the public. But I imagine most of us didn't even know this was occurring. How could this be?
Environmental exploitation is supported by a complex set of theories, structures, and processes that are rapidly being intertwined with our society in 2016. We live in a capitalist society that forces people to value wealth over all else. Capitalism frequently leads to neoliberalism, with an active private sector that leads individuals to choose the path of least resistance out of their own self-interest. This means that power plants and highways are always going to be built in marginalized areas, in areas that have little social, political, economic voice versus the wealthy suburbs every single time.
Wow, this is all very depressing stuff. How do we do something about it?
Dismantling urbanization and stopping air pollution is obviously no simple task. First, stopping the treadmill of production is crucial. Modern consumers require lots of goods, and this is one of the main reasons why we have environmental injustices in the first place. Stopping consumerism at its core would allow for environmental injustices to happen less frequently. Also, halting consumerism would allow for us to reevaluate our modern society as a whole. Would we still live in a capitalistic risk society that required an inverse relationship between wealth and risks? Would El Segundo still look like an industrial park compared to paradise like Manhattan Beach? Would the poorest people in Hong Kong still be exposed to the poorest quality of air? I don't know, but I think it's worth finding out.
Thanks very much for teaching me something today, and I hope that most of our viewers feel similarly. Also, thanks today for your contributions to the fight against global environmental injustices.
No, thank you. Right now, raising awareness about global environmental justice is half the battle. We can all do our part, but until that day, I'm going to put on my air mask for the walk home while I'm forced to watch my less fortunate neighbors be poisoned.
And with that closing statement, back to you in the studio, Jared.
Thank you so much, Professor Mayo, for coming on our show to speak this morning. Extremely insightful. Well, I think that's all we have time for this morning. Alex, any last words before we let these good people get on with their morning?
Not really. I would say just smile, laugh, and tell one person, maybe two or three, about what Professor Mayo said this morning. We can all do our part. Have a great day and an even better life.